It's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when. And the real question is not how do I stop difficult people from showing up in my life, but how do I remain calm no matter who they are? See, the world doesn't get quieter. People don't suddenly become easier to deal with. The volume of life doesn't turn itself down for your convenience. If anything, it gets louder, messier, more demanding. But there's a secret home on that most people overlook. A secret that gives you the upper hand. A secret that turns every conversation, every conflict, every chaotic moment into a choice and not a trap. And that secret is not about manipulating others or pretending to be unaffected or bottling things up until you snap numb. The real secret is about mastering yourself because the truth is you cannot control how people speak to you, but you can always control how you respond. And in that response lies your power. Your power, or in that moment between provocation and reaction. In that instant, you decide whether someone pulls you into the storm. You invite them into your calm. We live in a culture that glorifies instant clapbacks and clever comebacks. We admire the ones who don't take anything from anyone. But real strength is not found in shouting the loudest or winning the argument. Real power, the kind that changes your life, is found in calm clarity, in staying grounded, in being so rooted in your own peace that no one can pull you out of it no matter how hard they try. You see, people don't disturb your peace. They reveal video where your peace is already fragile. And so today we're going to dive deep, not into transformation. I'm not here to give you surface level advice, like take a deep breath or count to 10 number. I want to take you beyond that into the mindset, the strategy, and the emotional mastery that will make you unshakably when in the face of chaos. You won't just know how to stay calm when dealing with difficult people. People, you feel it in your bones. You'll walk into any room, any conversation, any confrontation with a quiet power that speaks louder than any raised voice ever could. So if you ever lost your peace over someone else's drama, if you ever wondered why do they always get to me, always get to me, or if you're just tired of giving away, calm, like you get to door, who haven't earned it, stay with me, it's already inside you. Let's unlock it together. The most powerful people in the world are not the ones who dominate every conversation. They are not the loudest in the room. They are not the ones who win arguments or shut people down with clever insight. The most powerful people in the world are those who can pause and everything wants to explode. When you understand that, you begin to unlock a level of emotional mastery. That way, you stay. Every conflict, every argument, every tense moment comes with a choice whether we realize it or not. It comes with a sliver of space between what just happened and how you respond to it. That space is small. Sometimes it's just a breath, a heartbeat, a glance. But in that space lies everything. Your dignity, your peace, your future. And most people rush right through it. They jump straight from trigger to reaction like a reflex, like an untrained mind stuck in a loop of defense and aggression. Someone insults you and you snap. Someone cuts you off and you lay on the horn. Someone disagrees with you and you feel the urge to prove your point, no matter the cost. It's automatic, unconscious. We've been wired by years of conditioning to defend ourselves. The moment we feel attacked, but the moment we pause, that's when everything changes. That pause is where your real self lives. Not the reactive self, not the ego, but the grounded, wise, centered you who sees the bigger picture. We often think power is about control over others, but that's not true. Real power is control over yourself. And it starts with the pause, because the pause is where you interrupt the old programming. The pause is where you choose to respond instead of react. So you take a breath and remember that someone else's behavior does not have to determine yours. It's where you refuse to be dragged into the emotional chaos of another person. Imagine the heated argument, voices are raised, word cried, like that. You feel the urge to lash out, but instead you stop. You breathe, you take a moment. You don't react out of habit. Or you respond from awareness. Maybe you say nothing. Maybe you say nothing. Maybe you say something calm. But what you don't do is let someone else push you into becoming someone you're not. And that's the power of the pause. It gives you ownership of yourself. There's an old saying, you can't control the wind, but you can adjust your sails. That P, that's your sail. Throws you storms, people throw you shade, but your ability to stay centered in the chaos is what separates the reactive from the active from the resilient. And if you anchored upon the THC. A decision not to become a mirror of someone else's madness. A decision not to let someone else's behavior write your story for you. But here's the truth, learning to pause is not easy, especially when we've spent years reacting without thinking. Especially when we've been taught that silence is weakness or that walking away means losing. But it's not. Silence is strategy and walking away is wisdom. You're not ignoring the problem. You're refusing to fuel it. You're not avoiding conflict. You're controlling the terms of your engagement. Let's be honest. Sometimes the hardest thing in the world is to say nothing. Sometimes the strongest thing you can do is sit in your own stillness when everything in you wants to scream. But the more you practice it, the more you practice it, the more natural it comes. The more you pause, the more you begin to notice things. You notice your triggers, you notice your patterns. You start to realize that not every comment needs a comeback. Not every challenge needs a counterattack. Not every insult needs your energy. The pause gives you perspective. You see beyond the moment. You realize that what someone said about you says more about them than it does about you. You realize that some people just want a reaction because they feed on drama and your calm is the starvation. You realize that some battles are just bait and the pose is how you rise above the trap. You become untouchable and people stop trying to provoke you, but because they can't reach you anymore. People often ask, but what if I get taken advantage of? What if I let people walk all over me? And the answer is staying calm doesn't mean being passive. It doesn't mean letting others disrespect you. It means choosing a response that aligns with your power, not your pain. It means speaking with clarity, not chaos. It means acting with intention, not impulse. The pause doesn't make you soft. Sarathra, it makes you sharp. It makes your actions more deliberate. It gives your words more weight because when you speak from stillness, people listen. People listen. When you respond from calm, your presence commands more respect than a shouting match over a gold. The more grounded you are, the more influence you carry. Because people can sense when someone is not easily rattled. They can feel when someone is in control of themselves. And that's rare in today's world. That's magnetic. The pause also teaches you self trust because every time you choose to stay calm, you're telling yourself, I've got this. I don't need to lose control to prove my strength. And slowly that trust builds. You become less reactive, less reactive. Not because the world gets easier, but because you become stronger. You've trained your nervous system to remain steady. You've trained your mind to see the big picture. You've trained your heart to respond with wisdom, not wounds. And isn't that what we all want, deep down? To move through the world with a sense of inner peace that no one can shake. To know that no matter who you're dealing with, whether it's a rude stranger, a toxic coworker, a difficult family member, or someone trying to pull you into drama, you can meet them with clarity and confidence that you can choose calm without feeling like you're losing. The pause is the gateway. It's the entry point into emotional. It's the moment that turns pain into presence, reaction into response, gain to this. You just need a wham. Hours away. You don't. You, you just need to catch yourself in that moment and say, wait, let me breathe. Let me choose. And when you start doing that consistently, intentionally, you stop living at the mercy of other people's behavior. You stop being a puppet pulled by this. You become the author of your own peace, the master of your own response. And that is real power. But here's where it gets deeper. Because this pause isn't just a moment between stimulus and response, it's the birthplace of your self respect. It's the line between living on autopilot and living with intention. When you pause, you're not just stopping the noise around you, you're silencing the war within you. You're telling your past, I'm not who I used to be. You're telling ego, I don't need to win this to prove it. You're telling the world, my peace is not up for negotiation. And that is revolutionary because every single day you'll be tested. Life doesn't hand you peace in a golden box, it throws you conflict, delayed disrespect, and misunderstanding. The test isn't whether you can avoid these things. So whether you can outgrow your need to react to them. The pause teaches you that there's nothing mature about being the loudest person in the room. That real strength is sometimes found in the quietest voice. Stay centered. Don't give them the keys to your emotions. And what makes the pause even more powerful is this: it rewires your mind. The brain loves patterns, it seeks them, lives by them. But the pause breaks the cycle. It tells your nervous system, we don't have to panic here. We don't have to explode. Float. We don't have to prove ourselves. And the more often you pause, more what used to make you? Someone disrespects you, and instead of seeing red, you see why they might be projecting. You start realizing that most anger is pain in disguise, that most rudeness is a reflection of someone else's chaos, not yours. Try to provoke you or secretly craving attention or craving attention. And when you pause, you're not just protecting your peace, you're piercing the illusion. You're seeing things as they really are, not as your emotion wants them to appear. That's how wisdom is born. And here's the truth: the people who know how to pause become emotionally bulletproof. It doesn't mean they don't feel, it means they know that not every feeling deserves a reaction. It means they know the difference between reacting from a wound and responding from wisdom. And when you master that distinction, you stop being controlled by people who don't even know themselves. You stop dancing to the rhythm of someone else's dysfunction. And here's something even deeper: the pause is also where your healing happens. Because every time you pause, you create space to feel what's really going on. You stop running from it. You stop burying your emotions under a pile of reactions. You start asking, why did that trigger me so much? What part of me still believes I need to fight to be heard? What fear am I hiding behind my anger? In that moment, you become your own mirror. And that reflection, that's where growth begins. It's where you take accountability without shame. It's where you separate the story from the truth. Where you stop being a victim of other people's wounds and become the guardian of us. Let's face it. They're addicted to being right, addicted to defending, addicted to reacting. But not you. Because you've learned that the person who can stay calm has already won. Even when they walk away, especially when they'll say you're passive. They'll think you're afraid to confront. But let them misunderstand, because your goal isn't to impress them. It's to protect you. People will say, why didn't you clap back? But what they don't see is the peace you chose instead. The internal storm you didn't unleash, the energy you saved, the chaos you refused to become. Let them underestimate you. Let them mock your silence. Because peace doesn't shout, it hears. It speaks through your presence. It speaks through your ability. Speaks when you look chaos in the face and choose stillness instead. And here's a truth that not enough people talk about. Sometimes the pause is the most loving thing you can, not just for yourself, but for the other person. For the other person. Because when you pause, you refuse to you're refusing to add gasoline to the fire. You're choosing to respond from majority instead of measuring their mess. That's love. That's leadership. That's you might not always get it right. You have days when when you say the thing you swore you wouldn't, when you react before you breathe, that's okay. This isn't about perfection. It's about progress. It's about rewiring decades of emotional habits, and that takes time. But every pause, every breath, every time you hold your tongue and choose presence over pride, you're building a version of yourself that cannot be moved. And over time, that version of you becomes your default. Calm becomes your native language. You start to feel the shift. Someone tries to bait you and you just smile. Someone throws shade and you throw silence. Someone tests your limits and you remember. You control the thermostat of your peace, not them. Because what you finally realize is this: the pause isn't just a strategy, it's a declaration. A declaration that your emotions belong to you. A declaration that you've outgrown the need to fight every battle. A declaration that you're no longer available by energy that drains, drama that derails, or conversations that lead nowhere. You don't need to win every fight. You don't need to fix every person. You don't need to prove anything to anyone. You just need to own your peace. And the pause is how you do it, one breath at a time. If there's one lesson that can change how you experience people and how you protect your inner peace, it's this. Not everything is about you. In fact, most of it isn't. And the faster you learn to stop taking things personally, the freer, calmer, and stronger you become. Someone speaks to you with an attitude, and your mind instantly says, "What did I do?" Someone ignores a message, and suddenly your thoughts spiral. Are they mad at me? Did I miss something? Someone criticizes you. Instead of brushing it off, you carry those words for hours deep. Human, you won't want to be accepted. And when we're not, we feel wounded. But that wound often comes not from what they said or did, but from the meaning we assign to. You see, every time someone treats you poorly, it's like they're handing you a packet. You have a choice: or accept it and carry it around, or leave it or not. Most of us don't even realize we're accepting the package. We just grab it emotionally, hold it like, don't stop. People's words, moods, and behaviors are reflections of the internal world, not yours. Their anger isn't out you. That coldness isn't your fault. They'll take criticism more often than notice their produce. This is you don't know what to do. You don't know what to do. Maybe they're dealing with rejection, fear, insecurity, pain. Maybe they've been hurt and haven't healed. Maybe they don't know how to love, so they push people away. Maybe they feel invisible, so they speak louder, meaner, harder. Not that excuse is bad behavior. But it does explain why you don't need to absorb it. Not taking things personally is not about being numb. It's about being wise. It's about standing at the edge of someone else's emotional storm and saying, "I can see you struggling, but I will not invite your storm into my peace." It's about not carrying pain that isn't yours, not internalizing. People are allowed to think whatever they want, and you are allowed to not let it ruin your day. Someone doesn't like you. Okay, that's their right. Someone misunderstands you, you can clarify or not. That's your choice. Someone projects their pain onto you. You don't have to pick it up and wear it like it's your identity. Because here's what happens when you take everything personal. With you, when it, you become real. You walk through life with emotional bruises that people keep pressing without even knowing it. And suddenly you're not just dealing with one conflict. You're carrying dozens of old wounds into every new interaction. You stop trusting people. You overanalyze every word. You look for offense even where there is none. It's X. But when you learn not to take things personally, something miraculous happens. You rise above. You don't get pulled into the emotional gravity of a situation. You stop dancing to the rhythm of other people's dysfunction. You stop being controlled by people who barely know themselves. And you start living from a place of clarity. That clarity says their opinion of me is not my responsibility. That clarity says I can love myself enough not to internalize someone else's pain. That clarity says I am not a you. I do not absorb everything around me. I am a mirror. I reflect back peace. And when you reflect peace, even people who came to fight sometimes lose their weapons. Think about how much freedom you would feel walked through a day and didn't let one rude comment sink into your spirit. Think about how much lighter life would feel if you stopped replaying things people said weeks or years ago. Think about the calm that would enter your body if you finally release the need to be understood by everyone. You don't need to win over the world. You don't need to be liked by everyone. You just need to like yourself enough that the world doesn't get to decide how you feel. And the more you build that self trust, the more bulletproof you become emotionally. Because the truth is, once you stop taking things personally, other people lose the power to disturb you. Their words might still come. A tone might still sting, but it no longer sinks deep. It no longer defines your worth. It no longer breaks your balance. Not taking things personally is a practice. It will get to someone will say something that touches an old wound, and your first instinct will be to react. But in that moment, if you can pause and remind yourself, this isn't about me, you will break the chain. You'll shift the energy. You'll return to your center, and from that center, you can respond with grace or sometimes not at all. You'll find that often silence is the loudest response. When someone is looking to provoke and you give them nothing, it starves the drama. When someone wants to argue and you smile instead, it disarms their fire. When someone throws shade and you walk in the light anyway, shows them you don't live in their shadow. This doesn't mean you don't care. It means you care too much about your own peace to give it away cheaply. It means you value your energy too highly to let anyone hijack it with a comment or a look. And when you live from that place, you stop trying to control how others see you. You focus instead on how you see you. And that above all is what keeps you calm, no matter who you're dealing with. Because the most dangerous trap is trying to earn peace from people who can't give it. You don't need closure from someone who left you confused. You don't need validation from someone who can't even validate themselves. You need permission to be calm. You give yourself that permission. When you stop taking things personally, you don't stop feeling. You start feeling intelligently. You start choosing where your emotional energy goes. You start giving yourself the power to say, I not mine to carry. And that boundary, that awareness, that's the true secret to walking through chaos without becoming chaotic. Music people won't always be fair, but your piece is not built on behavior, it's built on your decision. The decision to hold your center, to trust your true truth, and to not let someone else's storm flood your soul. That is emotional freedom. That is strength. That is the calm that can't be shaken. And the beautiful thing is, once you really stop taking things personally, you begin to feel an inner spaciousness. Like your chest opens up and you can breathe again because carrying the weight of other people's moods, opinions, and projections is exhausting. It tightens your soul, clutters your mind, and pollutes your emotions. But once you let go of that burden, there's room to feel you again. Not the judgment, not the sarcasm, not the sorry, just you, you're at your peace, you're present. You start to realize that you can observe someone's bitterness without letting it infect your sweetness. That you can witness someone's chaos without inviting it into your mental living. It's like sitting on a quiet beach and watching a storm far out on the ocean. You see it, you acknowledge it, but you don't run toward it. You don't dive into the lightning. You stay very still. You stay where you're safe. Where you're safe. This is emotional muscle. And it's not about being cold. It's about being clear. You're not ignoring people. You're just choosing to no longer be available for emotional manipulation, projection, or drama that you didn't create. You're choosing. You're choosing to respond with self-control instead of self-control. Because every time you react to someone's toxicity, you inhale someone. But you pause when you rise above, you keep your lungs and your heart clean. And slowly this becomes a way of life. You no longer see difficult people as enemies. You see them as unhealed people. You no longer see insults as attacks. You see them as information, data about that person's state of mind. And because you're no longer absorbing it, you can actually become curious instead of offended. You start asking yourself questions like, what must this person be feeling to behave this way? Or is this about me at all? Or am I just the closest target? That shift from personal offense to compassionate detachment changes everything. It allows you to stop defending your worth every 5 minutes. Your hissing comebacks in your head. It lets you go to bed without carrying 100 emotional injuries were never yours to begin with. You realize how many times you've bled for battles that weren't yours, how many times you let someone else's unresolved pain become your personal pain, become your personal pain. And when that realization sinks in, something inside you snaps awake. It says, no more. No more giving strangers the ability to ruin your degree. No more letting a short text or a missed call ruin your self worth. No more being a puppet to other people's opinions. You remember your value is not up for debate. Your peace is not on the auction block. Your mood is not a democracy where anyone can vote. You set the tone. You decide what enters. You decide what echoes. And once you claim that power, life starts to bend in your favor. Because here's the quiet secret. The less you take things personally, the more people start respecting you. Why? Because they feel your groundedness. They sense your emotional gravity. You're not easily moved. You're not easily baited. You're not dancing to every drum beat of dysfunction. And that compresses. That's magnetic. That's leadership. That's what makes people trust you because they know you won't break under pressure or lash out at the slightest provocation. You become the person people come to when they need stability. You become the calm. And even when others don't change, you'll feel different, lighter, stronger, because you're no longer carrying other people's emotional baggage. You're no longer volunteering for drama that you didn't script. You're no longer assigning meaning to things that don't deserve space in your heart. And let's be real, it's not always easy. Some things do feel personal. The betrayal, the rejection, the gossip, it hurts. It hurts. We're not made of stone, you're made of soul. But even then, you get to choose how deep you choose, you get to choose what others choose. Whether to let it define your day or redefine your boundaries. You can say art hurt, but it's not who I am. You can feel the sting and still not let control your story. And that's the real strength, not pretending it doesn't hurt your identity or art. Not denying the pain, but deciding not to live there. You let it move through you, not into you. You let the insult fly by like a bird overhead, not a stone in your pocket. You become a guardian of your inner space. Oh, a protector of your energy, a fierce defender of your calm. And eventually, people notice. They'll sense something different about you. They'll say things like, "You're so composed," or "You don't let things get to you." And what they won't see is all the inner work that made that possible. All the pauses, all the reminders, all the deep breaths, all the times you had to tell yourself, "This is not about me." You train for this, you earn this peace, and it becomes a part of you, unshakable. You stop flinching every time someone is upset. You stop assuming blame for every mood in the room. You stop trying to read minds and hearts that don't want to be understood. And instead, you focus on mastering yourself. That's where your power is. Not in controlling the outside world. And soon, even when someone criticizes you, you can say that's interesting instead of that's stating. Huh? When someone ghosts you, you think that's information, not that's rejection. When someone disrespects you, you feel a flicker of disappointment, not a full blown identity crisis. You grow, you elevate, you evolve. And the truth is, the corner you become, the more you outgrow the need to be understood, you stop needing to explain yourself to people who are committed to misunderstanding you. You stop needing to respond to every opinion or defend every decision. You realize that the people who matter already feel your heart, and the ones who don't were never your audience in the first place. You rise above the noise, above the drama, above the pettiness. You become someone who can stand in the middle of a storm and still feel the sun inside you because you've learned that your emotions are yours. Your peace is sacred, and no one has the right to take that from you without your permission. You've stopped giving that permission. And in doing so, you've taken back something priceless. You're free. There is a doorway into peace that most people walk past every day without even noticing. It doesn't require money. It doesn't require status. And it doesn't require years of experience or books or courses. It's right there waiting in the one thing we all have, but so few of us truly use with awareness. The breath, quiet, steady rhythm happening inside your body at this very moment. It's not just biology, it's a key, a map, a tool more powerful than words, louder than anger, deeper than any reaction you might have to someone's behavior. Your breath is the anchor in the storm. Think about this. When someone disrespects you, when someone triggers you, when emotions start rising fast like boiling water, what usually happens? Your body tenses, your jaw tightens, you stop breathing deeply. And before you know it, your nervous system hijacks the moment. You're no longer acting from your higher self, you're acting from your survival instincts: fight, flight, or freeze. Or freeze, snap, you shut down, you storm away. It's not weakness, it's the body what it's designed to do. But here's the thing, it doesn't have to control you. When you train yourself to notice that physical reaction, the tightening, the heat, the restlessness, and instead of reacting, you pause and return to your breaths, something miraculous happens. The moment no longer owns you. It might sound simple, even cliche, but don't mistake simplicity for weakness. The most powerful things in life are often the most subtle. Turn with awareness can interrupt a lifetime of reactivity. It can stop you from saying something you'll regret. It can stop you from carrying someone else's poison. It can save you peace like a shield raised at the perfect second. Because in that breath, you're doing something people rarely do in the middle of conflict. You're creating space. Space between the trigger and the reaction. Space between what was done to you and what you choose to do next. Space is sacred. In that space, you are free. And from that space, you can respond with strength instead of weakness, wisdom instead of chaos, clarity instead of confusion. The most powerful people in any room are not the ones who talk the loudest. They are the ones who carry calm like a sword on their back. The ones who know when not to swing, and they cultivate that calm by knowing their body. They learn the early signs of stress. The way their hands clench, the way their throat tightens, the way their stomach knots, they don't ignore it. They breathe into it, bring awareness to it, because awareness is everything. You can't change what you don't know. But once you do notice it, you become the captain of your own ship again. You steer even if the sea is rough. You sail even if the sky darkens and the body starts to trust you. Your nervous system stops panicking at every difficult conversation. Your breath becomes deeper, slower. Your reactions become measured, not impulsive. When you don't mirror someone's fire, you can cool the whole situation. You can bring a heated room back to neutral with nothing but your tone, your silence, your body language, and your carry. It's not magic. You begin to train yourself in moments that don't matter, so you're ready for the ones that do. You practice breathing slowly when no one is watching. You observe your body when the stakes are low. So that when pressure hits, when the boss criticizes you unfairly, when the partner raises their voice, when the stranger on the street pushes your buttons, you don't lose yourselves. You come home to yourself. You use the same breath, you stand in the same posture of praise, and you show yourself that you are stronger than the moment. Because at the core, staying calm is not about other people. It's about your relationship with yourself. When you can remain still in the fire, it's because you built a fireproof peace inside. And that starts with embodiment, with listening to your body, not just your thoughts, with letting your breath lead you instead of your emotions drag you. Most people think calm is a personality trait. It's not. It's a skill, a decision, a commitment. And like any skill, it gets stronger with you. You start to notice how shallow breathing makes you anxious, how clenched shoulders make you defensive, how tight. You open your hands, you roll your shoulders, you exhale like it matters because it does. That exhale is a signal to your entire body. We are not in danger. That exhale repeated gently can lower your cortisol and bring your rational brain back. It gives you access to choices and to choose your reaction. The ability to choose how you show up no matter who or what you're facing. It's not about suppressing anger or denying pain. It's about not letting that pain choose your words, your actions, your posture, your end. It's about stepping into a version of yourself that's bigger than the emotion of the moment. You start to trust your ability to remain unshaken. You start to carry a silent confidence. You no longer need to prove your power through volume or argument. Your presence speaks for you. Your breath carries your strength. Your calm becomes your armor and your invitation. People around you feel safe even when they're upset. You feel heard even when you say. And when you become that calm presence, you change every room you enter. You're not just controlling yourself, you're leading by example. You're modeling emotional maturity. You're teaching others without saying a word that there's a better way to handle tension. And maybe, just maybe, they learn to pause too. They learn to breathe too. They learn to listen instead of react. And in doing so, you're not just protecting your peace, you're planting seeds of it all around you. Yeah. So when the world becomes loud, when someone tries to shake you, when conflict arises and people look to you for a reaction, don't just react. Return to your birth, return to your body, return to that quiet where you come live with untouched by opinions. And that's where your true power begins. When you start to live from your breath, you stop living on edge. You stop waiting for the next emotional ambush. You stop racing for the next argument. the next argument, the next criticism, the next little message, because your breath becomes a refuge. You carry it with you like a sanctuary inside your chest. And no matter who you're facing, no matter what they throw at you keep returning home to it. Music like pulling yourself back to center over and over again. You start to realize that even when the world spins, you don't have to spin with it. Your breath, when master mustard, becomes like an anchor dropped in a wild sea. The waves still crash, the wind still howls, people still shout and project and accuse. Right, tethered, you don't drift. That's what separates a reactive life from a peaceful one. That ability to drop anger, that's not something you turn to only in times of trouble. You train in the quiet moments while waiting in traffic, while washing dishes, while walking. You make the breath your companion, your medicine, your rhythm. So when tension comes, you're already steady. You don't need to find your play, to scramble to find your balance, you are balanced, you are balanced. You begin to see how much of your emotional turmoil came not from what happened, but from your resistance to it. From your inner tension, from the tightness in your jaw and the fire in your chest and the shallow breaths that tricked your body into thinking you were under attack. But with awareness, you learn to let flow through. You learn that staying calm is not about suppressing the storm. It's about letting it pass through you without tearing your soul apart. You feel the heat of anger, but you don't fan its flame. You notice the grip of fear, but you breathe into it instead of feeling it. The breath gives you a kind of emotional activity. You turn reactivity into reflection. You turn confrontation into clarity. You turn chaos into calm. And the people around you will feel it. They may not understand it, but they'll feel it, may even be unsettled by it. Because your peace disrupts their pattern, your stillness reflects their noise, your refusal to react exposes their need for control. But that's not your problem to solve. Your only task is to guard your energy like it's sacred, because it is. And here's the real beauty to your breath. It doesn't ask you to fix the other person. The other person doesn't. It only asks you to be with yourself, to let yourself, to come back into your own skin. And remember, I am not the insult. I am not the tension. I am not the argument. I am the presence beneath it all. I am the one breathing, not the storm. I am the one choosing my response, not the one consumed by this. This kind of calm is not the same as detachment. It's not about being numb. It's about being deeply present, fully aware, and so rooted in your body that nothing can uproot you. You become like a tree in a storm. Your branches may sway, your leaves may tremble, but your roots stay deep. You don't break, you don't snap, you don't chase validation. You don't collapse into their chaos. You stand, and when you do that enough times, something powerful begins to shift inside you. Stop fearing confrontation. You stop shrinking in the face of tension. You realize, I don't have to match that energy. I can regulate mine. And that's not weakness, it's leadership, emotional leadership. It's being the thermostat, not the thermometer. You don't just measure the room, you set the tone. And here's where it gets even more powerful. Your breath doesn't just calm your nervous system, calm your nervous system. It's your thoughts, because when your body relaxes, you think more clearly. You remember what matters. You stop spiraling into assumptions, worst case scenarios, and emotional stories that don't serve you. You stay with the facts. You stay in the present. You stop overreacting. And what happened? I start responding to what is happening. Huh? Is this really about me? What's the most peaceful way to handle this? Am I reacting out of fear or responding from strength? From strength, these questions don't come from strength. These questions don't come from our front. How do they come? From this listen to reflect you choose. And that's what your breath gives you. The pause, the sacred pause between trigger and reaction where your power lives. The breath is that pause. And inside that pause is your freedom. And yes, there will be moments when you forget. When someone presses just the right button, when your body flares with heat, and your mind races with comebacks, and your ego screams for itself, and it says, okay, you're human. But even in those moments, even when you're falling into reactivity, the breath is still there like a rope waiting to pull you back. All it takes is one conscious breath, one inhale, one to enter a storm, one exhale to reset the moment, and suddenly you're not spiraling, you're back. And over time, the gap between the trigger and breath gets smaller. You start reaching for it automatically. Your body learns that. And when the breath becomes your default, calm becomes your habit. You start chasing peace, and start becoming it. You find that people's moods don't stick to you anymore. Their drama rolls off your shoulders. Yeah, their opinions pass through your awareness like passing cars. Notice but not invited in, you built a home inside your breath, a place no one can enter without your permission. And that kind of security, that kind of inner sanctuary, it is the most powerful armor you will ever wear. Because when you are calm, truly calm, you are unshakable. Not because life is easy, not because people are kind, but because you have become the source of your own peace. You don't wait for people to act right. You don't wait for situations to be perfect. You choose come moment after moment, breath after breath, even when it's hard, especially when it's hard. And that choice, that quiet decision to return to yourself, to your breath, to your stillness again and again is the foundation of real power. The kind of power that can be taken, the kind that inspires others, the kind that leaves a legacy of grace even in the face of storms. Or biting your tongue until it bleeds. No, it's about something far more courageous. It's about choosing to rise above, choosing not to be pulled down by energy that doesn't serve you, choosing peace even when chaos calls your name, choosing your breath over your pride. That's real strength. That's real power, huh? So, see, anyone can yell, anyone can react, anyone can lose their temper and slam a door. That doesn't take discipline, that doesn't take wisdom. What takes strength is walking through fire and not becoming flame. What takes maturity is sitting across from someone who's trying to provoke you and smiling, not because you're weak, but because you know that energy doesn't deserve your peace. Let talk, let them judge. Let them throw the little storms at you. You keep standing, you keep breathing, you keep glowing. Because the moment you let someone pull you out of your calm is the moment you hand them control of your mind, your mood, your spirit. And you didn't come this far, you didn't grow this much just to let someone else decide how you feel. Do you hear me? You fought battles in silence. You survived storms that no one even saw. You've sat in the dark and taught yourself how to create light. You've chosen growth when it was easier to break. You held back words that could have cut deep, not because you couldn't win, but because you knew peace is a bigger prize than pride. That's who you are. That's what you're made of. So from this moment on, make yourself a promise. You never let someone's chaos become your identity. Someone's chaos become your identity. A promise to never match energy that doesn't align with your heart. Promise to never again waste your karma. Look at yourself. Look how far you've come. You don't need to fight to prove your worth. Your silence already says everything because you've discovered something most people never do. Calm is not the absence of struggle, it's the presence of strength. It's the discipline to stay grounded, to stay grounded. It's the wisdom to wait. It's the courage to say, I'm not going to let this break me. It's the power to look someone in the eye and say, I'm still at peace. And nothing you say will change that. Yes, there will be moments you're tempted to lash out. Moments you're tempted to explain yourself to people who will never understand your journey. Moments where you feel the heat in your chest and the fire and your words ready to ignite. But those are moments that define you, not how large you, not how, not, because calm is not weakness, not weakness. Calm is a roar in silence. It's the lion who doesn't need to prove its king. It's the ocean that can swallow a storm, return to still, return to stillness. And you are that ocean, deep, powerful, steady. Let them throw storms. You'll create to throw storms.